Yeah, I've applied for loads of jobs and not got a lot of them, but I mean, so much I think is to do with appearance, isn't it, as well? And as a fat person, you are pretty swiftly written off if there's a thin person in the offing.
Yeah.
Because that sort of thing makes a really big difference, I think.
It's true, but it's unspoken, and they would never dare admit it, would they? That's the problem.
Well, they told me a few times.
They'd love to employ you, but they've got a thin person. I understand.
What about you, Alan? What have you done before you went to comedy?
I never wanted to have a job.
Really?
In the event of an interview, wear flip-flops.
That's brilliant.
You would never be employed. When you go in, put your feet up on the desk, and they'll get the next person.
I think that's fair. Yeah, well, we have here a list of job interview questions that you shouldn't ask if you're on this side of the table, as it were, if we're the interviewing panel. You're not supposed to ask, are you a smoker? I don't know why. Are you originally from the UK? From the UK? Is a no.
Yeah, but if you're interviewing for a cowboy, that's...
I was going to say, it's not OK to say, are you originally from the UK, and I just screwed it up. Do you have children who will need to be looked after? You shouldn't ask.
In the event of a fire, will you stop working?
Do you plan to have children in future? You're not supposed to ask. And then, what are your weaknesses, is a common question, given no. The temptation, of course, is to attempt to subvert it by naming a weakness which is actually a strength. Oh, my trouble is I'm just a terrible perfectionist. You know, I just can't stop working at things until they're completely perfect.
I'm so punctual.
Yes. Well, my problem is I'm really nice. I think I'm too nice, you know. And that is transparent, so don't do that. So you're supposed to say one that is kind of not terrible. Like, I tend to get bogged down in details, but I'm making a real effort about that sort of
I'm
thing.
a terrible thief. I love other people's stuff.
I also can't concentrate. Oh, look, there's a squirrel.
What are your weaknesses? Heroin and masturbating, not necessarily in that order.
What are your strengths? No, here's another one. Don't say...
Odour. I've got a powerful odour. It only gets stronger as the day goes on.
You're still wearing your I don't want a bloody job hat, aren't you?
These feet stink by 4 o'clock.
Apparently, don't say I work well without supervision, which may seem good, but it sounds I resent management, is what you're saying. So say, I work equally well with or without supervision.
I relish working in a team.
Yes. Vomit ready, isn't it? Don't say I'm confident, outgoing and natural leader. That sort of suggests I'm a reincarnation of Adolf Hitler. You better answer, I have good interpersonal skills. That's what it says here. If I met someone who said they had good interpersonal skills, I would take a rusty knife and I would just do that in their stomach. Until they bled to
the
death.
sentence, I have good interpersonal skills, it's kind of proof that you don't
Exactly.
have You immediately annoyed the person you're talking to.
Howard saying, I'm comfortable taking instructions from idiots like you.
There are weird things, like the person interviewing might just fall asleep. And apparently the smart thing to do is to leave a note saying, I enjoyed meeting you.
Is it?
No, yeah, but
I
no,
would
like,
say that's an incredibly unassertive thing to do.
I agree. I just say, wake up, you lazy sod. This is my life we're talking about.
So you mustn't lick their face.
No, that would be good, yeah.
Well, imagine them waking up and you're there, just with your tongue on their nose.
See, I had a job in the civil service, loved that, for about 6 months, and they asked me completely the wrong question at interview, because if they'd said to me, are you likely in 3 months' time to get pissed in the club bar, go back to your desk, fall asleep, and then fall off your chair, I could have said yes, and they could have not given me the job, you see, but that was eventually what happened, and I got sacked, so...
So they stupidly didn't have a question for that?
They had the wrong question.
No one but themselves to blame.
No, absolutely.
Apparently they sometimes also ask questions like, you know, how many piano tuners are there in the UK? I think it's supposed to test your initiative or your wit or something, and you give an answer, I don't know.
Will you be taking advantage of bringing your kestrel to work Thursday? That's all.
The whole thing sounds horrible, the world of job interviews. I don't know.
The thing that seems unfair to me is the number of people who are expected to pretend they care about jobs they don't care about. You should be allowed to say, look, I'm fulfilling my contract. You can't put in the contract, also you have to seem like you give a shit. I think that's expecting too much.
Yeah.
That's why I really like the fact that we live in a country with such poor customer service. I've got respect for that. You know? Okay, this is a horrible train, you're tearing tickets, of course you're in an awful mood.
Now that you've put it like that, I shall feel better about it. You're right. Why have a cheesy grin on your face if you are working in an awful supermarket?
Well, it's the sign either of a liar or a moron.
Yeah.
It's quite funny when people are rude in shops, isn't it? Yeah. It still takes a bit by surprise. My wife went to a shop today and wanted to buy an ironing basket. An ironing basket? I've never heard of such a thing. I have no idea we would find something like that.
As far as I'm concerned, you've just put two words next to each other in a mad way.
Me and my mates would deliberately go to a Chinese restaurant in Wardour Street because they were so foul to you. And the best ever time we went there, we were actually moved mid-meal to a different floor of the restaurant. You gotta stand now! You gotta stand now, this table booked. I'm in the middle of my dinner. Oh, you got upstairs. Army of waiters moved our meal completely upstairs. I was pissing myself.
Oh, fantastic. Well, the fact is, job interviews only need to last 12 seconds, it seems. Of course, it helps to believe in yourself as well. How do you know if you're incompetent?
Is it because you did very badly at your last job, which involved organising a piss-up in a brewery?
You'd think that would be a hint, wouldn't you? No, there's a thing called the Dunning-Kruger effect, which is that if you're incompetent, you don't know it, because the thing that makes you incompetent means you don't realise what the competent thing is. So let's imagine you've got a rather mediocre doctor who hasn't diagnosed something that a smarter doctor would have done. The incompetent doctor doesn't know he's incompetent because he doesn't know what it is that he hasn't done. Do you see what I mean?
Doesn't he realise that when the patient dies, though?
Patients die anyway. It's only if some really smart doctor said, didn't you ask him if he had this? Then they go, oops. But the fact is they don't know they're incompetent. That's sort of what makes you incompetent. The fact is we don't know what we don't know.
So you're saying you can tell if you're incompetent if you're happy?
Basically.
Right.
Basically, that's right. There are incompetent people who I think you feel must know that they're incompetent. There were a couple of thieves in America, you'd be surprised to know, who disguised themselves thusly using magic markers. They thought they'd get away with that. That was in Iowa.
There's a look of realisation in their eyes.
All right.
Yes, we now realise this wouldn't have been sufficient.
Yes. In 1994, a 31-year-old plumber and part-time terrorist called Idsalid al-Jahalin entered the cinema Zalwa in al-Zarqa in Jordan with a bomb. It was showing X-rated films, which he disapproved. So he planted his bomb under a seat, but then carried away watching the film. And it exploded and took away both his legs.
The bomb?
Yes.
Thank God.
Isn't that excellent news? Anyway. Very strange. Now, would you like to see an ingenious interlude? I've been trying in this series to get better at these little chemistry experiments.
They're always my favourite bit.
They are fun. This is a speaker, as you can see, and this is corn flour mixed with water, such as you would buy in any high street cornflour shop or supermarket, used as a thickening agent for...
It's not green, though.
No, we've made it green to make it stand out more. It has a particular property, this. It's a non-Newtonian fluid. It's very peculiar. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pour it here. Gloopy, I think is the word there. And unlike most liquids, which change their viscosity according to their temperature, these change their viscosity according to pressure, action on them. And we hope that a little bit of sound, played by Ben, our sound man now, is going to cause...
Hello.
As you see, it's beginning to vibrate. But as it gets louder, the effect will get more, I hope, extraordinary. Ooh, it's a wonderful feeling. I might be able to just give it a little bit of a tickle with a spoon. Oh, there we go. There you are, you can see it there. Whoops, the holes stay, and you start to get basically little morphs making love with each other. Oh, there you go.
You have just screwed every stereo of every QI viewer.
Isn't that creepy?
Margaret, get the
It's like
cornflower.
little wavy green people. And they're all writhing and making love, and it's kind of like...
Yeah, that's what you
You're
say.
adding that.
Yeah, well, it
I
looks
think
like...
they're being burned alive.
Some of them are waving.
Help me, I'm drowning!
Isn't it extraordinary? And all of that is water and cornflower. It's quite amazing.
What?
Yeah, it's the actual action, it's the vibration, it's the physical effect that changes the viscosity. And they will
Let's
carry
all
on.
gather round.
They climb out. It actually looks as if they're trying to climb out, doesn't it?
Yes.
Rather beautiful.
That is fantastic.
Isn't it?
It's like a glimpse into hell, isn't it?
Yeah.
All the souls writhing
That's
around
exactly
and
it,
trying to
exactly,
escape.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's just what it looks like.
Maybe
yes.
it is.
It's
Souls
Dante's
in
stereo.
agony. Well, there we are, and then it goes quiet again. It settles back into liquid form. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. Well, I've got cling film, but they've not furnished me with a wet wipe.
Oh, look at the look on it.
Yes.
Is it like a tissue?
Anyway, I was at work tonight and I've got
Oh,
green
thank
gunk
you.
all over my purple suit.
Yeah.
I look like Jack Nicholson. Anyway.
Oh, there we are. So there are various kinds of these non-Newtonian fluids, and they are working on a kind of liquid armour, which is a weird idea, but the higher the pressure of the bullet, the more solid the liquid will become.
How am I only seeing this for the first time
I know.
tonight?
Isn't it exciting?
Why isn't every time I go around someone's house they playing dub reggae and getting the cornflower out?
I know. We know what to do next time. Now, what is this robot designed to do? Right, yes.
To overthrow the puny humans?
That's what most robots are designed to do, of course.
It's for hanging a jacket on.
Well, it's sort of... This is actually an iron shirt robot. It irons your shirt. You put on a shirt and it sort of puffs up and irons it. Gets rid of its creases.
It might be a replacement husband because it's just sitting there doing fuck all. You know.
That would be a good job. The fact is, you know, there was so much promise for robots and a lot of artificial intelligence research. And the fact is... Sorry, is it just this atmosphere? Are you thirsty? I could do with it. Can we have a drink? Thank you. I've got a friend here who's going to give me a drink.
It's not like Yo Sushi, is it?
No. Here we are.
This is for you.
Thank you. That's very kind of you. Welcome to QI, Asimo.
Thank you, Stephen. It is great to be here.
Isn't he marvellous?
Here I am, brain the size of a planet. Opening doors.
So you're the most advanced humanoid robot on the planet, is that right?
That is what they tell me.
Why don't you show us what you can do?
I would love to.
Is he going to kill me?
Honestly, I promise you are going to be impressed. I mean, this is... but when it's this movement that is so simple to us. You know, they can do calculations we could never dream of doing, any computer, but this movement he's doing, he's going to go down a step, right? Give him time.
If he falls
There
over,
goes.
that's 20 million quid up the swan, isn't it?
Now he's going to do something that I think no one in this room will have ever seen, which is, I think, truly miraculous.
Studio audience killed by runaway robot.
No, he is going to run. I'd like you to run, Asimo, and this takes him a bit of time, but both feet will leave the ground, and he will run. Very good.
Oh!
Isn't that amazing? Isn't that incredible?